When you look at the hotel industry, what it's gone through, the social distancing measures that will be put in place, certainly for the summer, when do you think we'll see the hospitality business returning back to normal?
Well, not for a very long time yet. The impact on the business has been quite devastating. I've never run a business without an income before. In fact, even never dreamt of doing that. So it's quite extraordinary. The hotels depend on tourism, on international travel, and particularly London hotels. And we're not likely to see a resumption of that for some time to come. And to compound it all, the government is now putting in this quarantine law. If you come into the country, you're going to be quarantined for 2 weeks from early June. And that's going to stop anybody coming here. At a time when other European countries are opening up their borders, we're closing ours. It seems complete madness. And the reality is you can just as easily catch the virus if you travel up to Yorkshire as you can traveling to Italy, where I have some hotels. So the future is very uncertain at the moment. And even when hotels do start opening again, they'll open on hugely reduced levels of business, and it will not be possible to employ all the staff that we were employing before. So it's not a very satisfactory position.
Can hotels, so Rocco, hotels be profitable whilst maintaining this social distance at 2 meters?
No, it makes it almost impossible. I mean, for the tourist industry as a whole. I mean, airplanes can't fly when maintaining 2 meters of social distancing. Theatres can't open. A lot of operations which tourism depend on won't be able to function. Again, in Europe, in continental Europe, they've reduced the 2 meter rule to 1 meter, which makes it still difficult, but at least possible. And it seems that our government is very much behind the curve in all of this.
Do you see any opportunities in the sector? Is this, a time to expand if property prices go down, or are you just, planning for the worst for the foreseeable future? I don't know whether it's 2-3 years or it could be even longer.
Well, obviously, we had a development program underway, and we're under discussion with a lot of potential sellers and entering into a new. In fact, we just signed up a new lease. I can't announce it yet, but so we'll continue to work on that. I don't think anybody is in a hurry to do anything yet until things settle down in terms of taking decisions on selling and pricing of their assets. But possibly the market will open up sometime in the future. The likelihood of return to normality at the moment, where things are, is not till the spring of next year.
If it happens, if normality, Rocco, is not before the spring of next year, do you think some hotels will have to go bankrupt, or is there going to be a solvency issue?
Yes, of course. I mean, the furlough scheme, and of course there are furlough schemes across all the various countries in which I operate in Europe, help a great deal. And our Chancellor was fantastic the way he introduced the scheme and was paying the money within 3 weeks, and that's lessened the impact. But with all the measures that we've taken and so on, I've still got 5 million a month going out of the window. And by the end of this, probably would have spent a wasted 50 million pounds for nothing. And that's money that would have been invested in the fabric of existing business and also in future development. So I've got to replace that somehow at the end of the day. In my case, I've got the resources to take me through that, but a lot of businesses won't have that. And so will find themselves in difficulty. And many people will lose their jobs. And the real tragedy of this whole crisis is that there are millions of people going to be affected and their families well into the future. we're still continuing to work on a policy which was based on a false assumption that 500,000 people were going to die in this country. It's not the case. I think the government has become a victim to its own propaganda. It's terrified the whole country into this disease is a sort of the Black Plague again, when the reality is a very small minority of population affected by it. If you're under 50, you've got very little chance of dying, if any at all. And when you get the disease, you hardly notice you have it. I'm 75. I've had it. I've got through it. So I empathise with older people, and of course people who have underlying symptoms, who are the ones that are suffering most. But the whole country shouldn't be held to ransom because of a small minority of the population who, like me, can look after themselves and take their own decisions.
But, Sir Rocco, you could argue that actually the UK had, a light touch lockdown approach compared to other countries where you do business, such as Italy.
Well, I mean, it was a light touch. Italy, it was more draconian, and that people weren't really allowed to go out at all from their homes. But the reality is the economy has been closed down. As a result of that, lots of jobs have already been lost. And there's going to be a big level of unemployment when we get back to normal. The reality of this disease is it is not dangerous to most people. We should get back to carrying on with our lives just as we did before, and people can take their own decisions as to whether they want to risk it or not. And people who are older and more vulnerable will obviously take more care. And people who are older and can't take care of themselves, we have to look after. But why should the country continue to be locked down involuntarily when there's no need for it?